So you want to make some money this cycle, huh? You want to make some life-changing wealth. Well, the good news is it's never been friggin' easier. The crypto space right now is at the intersection of a bunch of new technology developments all coming to fruition around the same time, allowing for some huge potential opportunities that, unless you're an absolute moron and do your correct due diligence, you have the opportunity to make some huge, huge money. We are here to make sure that this community is doing exactly that. So I want to drill home the true value of probably the most revolutionary sector in crypto right now. And in this community, as I've said, we want to make money, as much money as possible. And so being aware and taking part in the biggest opportunities should always be at the forefront of what we aim to do, right? So we have talked about the flood of incoming money in volumes from the creation of Bitcoin and soon to be Ethereum ETFs that have already and will continue to impact the sheer market cap of crypto and the adoption at large. You know that I anticipate a super cycle due to the trillions of dollars entering the market like never before. But there is another sector that has the capacity to drive just as much volume into crypto while gathering the interest and investment from some of the largest corporations in the world. And if you don't act on it, you will miss out huge. You would have to be, once again, a moron to ignore this sector. We've talked about it. This revolutionary sector that's sending absolute shockwaves through many TradFi environments too is DeepIn, short for decentralized physical infrastructure networks. And I'm telling you, strap in, because during this next cycle, we're about to explore a world where trillions of dollars in market potential collide with a very fast developing blockchain technology landscape. So I'll say it again. The deep in sector is absolutely sizzling. And if you're not aware, become aware fast. Its market potential, I'm telling you, is off the charts. It's not just a buzzword, as I've said before, it is a game changer, especially for industries like telecoms and energy, some of the biggest industries that we have with the largest companies in the world. So I hope that drilled home just how much value I see in this sector. Now, we all see the massive narrative that AI is and will be throughout this next cycle. And to me, to set some context, this is like the gold rush. And I'm not the only one to draw that comparison. AI may be one of the gold picks for us right now, and we'll certainly be in hunter seeker mode in what AI projects we're involved in. But deep in projects will be the often more lucrative pick and shovel plays that bring the capacity and hardware facilitation to allow sectors like AI to flourish and to scale. And as thousands of traders flock to position themselves, and they are in this new bubbling ecosystem, the early adopter opportunity is just too enticing to ignore. And I want to make sure, once again, this community, the private group, are all over it, setting positions in what I think will no doubt be one of the greatest explosions of opportunity that we will likely ever see. But what exactly is deep in a nutshell? And why is it set to make some huge waves? Well, like narratives past, we're not just talking about digital assets or decentralized finance. Those are both very important areas and very important unique selling points and evolutions within crypto. But Deepin is taking things one step further. It is essentially a bridge between the physical world and the blockchain. It's groundbreaking. It's a groundbreaking concept that's reshaping how we build and manage physical infrastructure. Think computers, hardware, giant server rooms and entities, offices, maintenance, personnel, you name it. And think of that on the scale of some of the largest entities in the world with the largest footprints around the world, being no longer reliant on centralized entities. These networks are, through Deepin, created and maintained by a community of deployers. So imagine a future where resources like computer power, wireless networks, energy grids are no longer controlled by a select few, but by a community, by a group at large scattered around the world. This isn't just about revolutionizing infrastructure, also, it's about rewriting essentially the rules of Web3. Deepins hold the promise of a much more resilient and cost effective, community driven alternative to centralized systems where we currently depend on. It's not just a shift in this manner. It's a paradigm change, as I said, that could really redefine the way that these large corporations around the world scale and how blockchain and crypto itself interacts with that physical world. This is like a situation, a narrative, a building of some new business dynamics that once we were only thinking of as a pipe dream through the metaverse, for instance. We're watching movies like Ready Player One, seeing how certain digital assets, even in gaming, right? We're seeing the interaction between real world money buying things that you own either through NFT technology or just owning those digital assets that somehow, in some way, transact to that world that you're living in at that moment. Well, this is taking that notion and applying it to the real world. And I know this sounds pretty groundbreaking from that perspective right now, but also thinking of where this technology is going to go, it's impossible to predict. But all you can predict is that it's going to make some huge waves and it's going to continue to evolve because already the use cases are in place for these mega entities to save so much money that they would be idiots to not expand that thought process further. So imagine a world where infrastructure projects are not just coordinated but incentivized through blockchain and tokenizations. Deepins take that crowdsource phase of these projects to a whole new level, offering real world services and value, all while running seamlessly on the blockchain in the background. So, who stands to gain the most from this? Well, as I just mentioned, enter firstly corporations, the heavyweights in industries like telecommunications who are spending vast amounts of money, energy, time to build and maintain these huge physical infrastructures. With Deepins, these companies can revolutionize their approach, trading the need to build physical constructs with volunteers who become integral nodes in this decentralized network. But it's not charity work. These volunteers are rewarded with tokens for linking their hardware under the service of these corporations. So tokens that hold real world value can be cashed out once the company kickstarts and its tokens increase in value. It's win win, reminiscent of very much like the business models that propelled giants like Uber and Airbnb to massive success. We saw firsthand the explosion of that shared economy concept, right? This is taking that to the next level. And there's so many ways in which this could come to fruition. It's impossible to not just summarize in a video like this. But take my word for it, this is massive. And the conversations internally with some of the big banks and institutions is taking place. And it's one of the more exciting topics in those conversations. Now, to not dwell too much or be redundant, I think it's important to understand some of the value propositions of Deepins. For starters, they provide a a disruptive alternative, right, to the capital intensive methods of legacy companies. They offer more efficiency in especially when it comes to launching and running services that basically level the playing field and kind of promote that equal opportunity within the sector, which up until now has been seen as really unheard of, but it allows for a lot more players, a lot more resources, energy to enter the space and have the potential to grow very quickly. It's affordable. DPINs are significantly more cost effective as an option than traditional infrastructure building. There's no more hefty bills for physical constructs, facilitation, management, maintenance, personnel. This not only cuts costs, but eliminates the time that's needed to launch a new company successfully and significantly. Speed really is, as in all things crypto, but in this sector in particular, the name of the game. Linking existing hardware into a network is lightning fast compared to building individual constructs, as has typically happened. This agility not only enables new companies to sprout very quickly, but also allows them to adapt to local market needs very, very quickly, gaining much more of a competitive edge and therefore grabbing more and more market share. I set this context because those are the types of brands, companies, projects that we got to be looking out for to make sure that we're analyzing their potential, knowing that the entry point to this market just become a heck of a lot more accessible to anyone who's on the ball. And honestly, the benefits just keep coming. Deepins offer the ability to grow a company across jurisdictions without all of those typical bureaucratic hurdles. Plus, the blockchain network facilitates cost free payments to network participants. That is creating an efficient and transparent ecosystem. All the things that we know and love about crypto, especially as it's evolved into this current cycle where things like DeFi and control are top of mind for everyone. So, they're efficient, right? They're resilient because obviously, with a network depending on thousands of nodes instead of constructs owned by one singular company, the system becomes a heck of a lot more resilient to attacks and technical problems, ensuring that uninterrupted operations. And this is the stuff that plays heavily when it comes to company valuations. We're seeing that gray area between traditional finance, stocks, IPOs converging with crypto now in so many new and exciting ways that you can't help but see the value proposition in just how these types of companies and projects are going to be evaluated in the future. And again, the sooner we are into those types of brands, those types of companies, the earlier we are positioned, the better it's going to be for us in the long term. Because I'm telling you, this sector is going to lock the doors eventually. I don't know how quickly that's going to come. My job for my community is to make sure that we're seeking out the best possible opportunities that we can and getting involved in them, setting our positions as early as possible. The deep in scene is on the verge of something big. And I think that we're going to witness a sector of the crypto space capture so much momentum that it's going to mean exponential growth in the very near term. And I just can't drill that home enough. And it's tough. You guys have seen it before when videos without the mention of particular ecosystems or not playing to the fact that someone already holds certain tokens don't necessarily drive as much traffic. It is an opportunity lost because right now is a time that we start looking and seeking for a lot of these new portfolio additions within this sector. So it's perfect timing. This video really is aimed at just putting it on your radar. I know it's very sporadic. I am very excited about this. And this is on the back of a lot of conversations that I've been having recently, really trying to just squeeze my network for as much of a green flag as to kind of how these conversations are progressing and how much these entities and banks are going to be jumping into this sector. And it's unavoidable when you have so many mega entities, energy companies, folks who are dipping into even things like renewable energy. There's a whole different conversation. But as I've been talking to my network about you know EV charging networks that are expanding into hospitality, we have huge, renewable solar farms and integrations that also are going to need a deep in aspect to manage that. We have the convergence of so many different sectors developing very quickly, evolving very quickly, and entwining very efficiently that we can't help but see certain areas of exponential growth that will happen. And I want to make sure, once again, that my community is on top of this. So I will urge you, despite the fact that you may have your own ecosystems, projects, some of which I'm involved in too, and I'm super bullish about them, but for different reasons, don't miss out on new sectors that are emerging that you now are being made aware of that you can jump in and gain early positions in. This is exactly what I'm doing. In my private group, especially, we are seeking these things out. I'm basing my technical analysis, my research on a lot of the same traditional flags that I would be doing through VC outreach or even some traditional trading, vetting as well. We're able to do so when these sectors converge, when we have some of the biggest backing of the biggest companies and partnerships and evolutions. We're still looking for new, fresh growth, but we're also seeking for some of those firm foundation building elements that it's not often you see. So I'm not going to be redundant anymore. There will be more videos to come. I hope this served you. If it has, please do drop a like, subscribe. I would love to see you be a part of this community. Feel free to join the private group where we'll be going into a lot more detail in terms of what these projects are going to consist of. And I'll be pinging you guys on when I'm buying, when I'm selling, all that good stuff. We're not here for a numbers game. We're not trying to cram as much of, a million and one different tokens into our portfolios. We're trying to make very, very apt, secure, vetted research plays that we do our due diligence on, and we have the conviction that they're going places. Right now, it's not the toughest thing to do. Providing you know what to look for as we talk about, then we can make these plays and feel confident that we're not just pissing our money away. Stay tuned. Love you all. Drop a like, subscribe, comment, whatever you need to do. I will be reading as always and try to respond to everyone as I can. And I will catch you on the next one.